Weston, I like it over here. Okay. Should I read a little bit more of this one? What do you guys think? I like this in the circle over here. This is good. This is a principle from the triune of life, principle number 4. For more specific application, intelligence is always perfect, always 100%. The forces which it assembles are always correct. They are not correct when they reach tissue cell if there is interference with this transmission. Okay? But that is not because of imperfection of innate's work, but because of the limitations of matter. So I was saving this to the end, is what Stevenson was talking about, the limitation of matter. Now I've lost my place. Oh, it's because the conducting tissue is imperfect, or the receiving tissue cell is imperfect. But the conducting tissue and the receiving tissue are matter, which is the third factor of the triune of life. The only member of it which can be imperfect. The imperfection, of course, is in structure. The molecules of a wrecked locomotive are just as good as those in a locomotive in running order. But the wrecked locomotive is imperfect in structure, and therefore is not a good organ to express man's wishes. So, as we're adjusting people, we're adjusting them. Their body's making new tissue all the time. And we talk about stem cells, very popular now. As we're making each stem cell the best that I can with that best transmission of our, BJ said mental impulse, DD said vital force, which he said is more specific, is what DD talked about. But those vital forces communicating in perfect ways all the time. And each time, like my mother, she had heart disease, 2 triple bypasses, and I started adjusting her. I moved back from New York City. I was practicing up there doing house calls in Upper East Side of Manhattan, and I came down here and started adjusting my mom. And she was going to go in for a 3rd triple bypass. And I started adjusting her. Carotid arteries, 99%, coronary arteries, close to 99%, and her body started healing. And what happened after that, she still had horrible sciatic pain. Horrible. And it started getting worse and worse. And I got therapeutic in my mind. I turned to a therapist. I want my mom to feel better. I was trying to get her out of back pain. God forbid it went away too early. Because what was happening is her kidney was a shriveled up little prune, is what the urologist said. She got ultrasounds every 6 months. That kidney was growing to 8 centimeters and started functioning, right? So where we think there's limitations often, right? They say, we learn in urology class, the kidney never regenerates. Hers regenerated into absolute perfection. Her sciatic pain was still there. If I was a therapist and just tried to get her out of pain, because there was a point where I was doing that, and I just backed up and said, okay, let's get back to what we're doing and just keep adjusting you. And that happened within about a 6 month, maybe, the heart disease was 6 months. The kidney was about another 1.5 years until we actually knew it was happening. But what if I got her out of pain too quickly? There was a chiropractor, I can't remember who it was, he used to say, I hope your patients don't get well too fast before they have an opportunity to learn how amazing chiropractic is. I don't remember who said that, but it's true, right? It's really it's so much more than a click or a crunch. But when we're really talking about healing, and not just healing physically, also emotionally. And when I was going through, and innate serves us, when my mother was passing and all this work I was doing with myself, right? Finding more about me of what my triggers are, all I saw with my patients, it just started coming in, and it turned into like this session of everybody going through the same stuff, because we were fed by the universal, and innate connected, our vibrations attracted those things, and we all healed together. So for me, my practice to me is healing also for me. It's not that we're separated. Pasquale said it to us, each adjustment you're giving, you're also receiving. So you better give a good one, right? So, what do you guys feel?
Amen to that.
Amen to that.
I jacked up my neck on Thursday, and I was in excruciating pain, even when I got to the office. By the end of the shift, yes, my friend Devin came to help me out, but I felt so much better after just giving and serving through those people, and like, it gives me goosebumps to think about it, but like, I was receiving, I was giving, all that energy was very reciprocal, and the healing that I got during those like 5 hours of service was just like weeks of healing that somebody else didn't experience anywhere else. So, yeah, just share that experience, exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Anybody see anything on those sheets or anything else you want to discuss? What's on your mind?
Your cracks and pops.
Yeah.
The Joint's the biggest company in your industry. How does Joe Public find doctors like you all, that do deal with subluxation and these real issues?
You know, it's a brand. When we're talking about branding, chiropractic itself doesn't have a brand. I'm sorry. It's a hard thing. From a network chiropractor to an upper cervical chiropractor to a full spine chiropractor, people are confused. And we've dropped the ball in a way over 100 and something years. BJ tried to keep it cohesive with upper cervical care. He even changed the story of D.D. Palmer, how he got his first adjustment, okay, to try and keep it upper cervical. The neurokilometer, he tried to keep control. It's so big, it's uncontrollable. It's just because we're talking about forces bigger than we are. And the way, if you were a chiropractor, how your approach would be much different. I'd love to see Ray when he's a chiropractor. I can't wait to get adjusted by him, right? So, you know, how our approaches are, I adjust it differently than Mindy, adjust it differently than Dr. Singer. Ultimately, we're attracting people to our vibration of who is right for me. Jorge practices across the street from me with another chiropractor who's a great friend of mine. Across the street, people are going to come. I mean, I could throw a football to his front door, literally. But people are going to be attracted to his vibration. People are attracted. That's where we talk about this law of attraction. We talk about that quite a bit in chiropractic, of clearing out our limitations, right? We talked about asking for what we want, not what we don't want. Same thing with us. I want to serve the people. Bring me the people that I can help. I can help. Okay? It's the biggest challenge, quite honestly, of educating the world about how important chiropractic is. We've kind of tried to bring it in as the subluxation, as the communication to the public, and what we're bringing as the brand, right? But it's esoteric. How would you do it?
I don't know.
Yeah. On a related note,
Yeah.
I came across fascinating, because we all remember learning that the medical side doesn't acknowledge that spinal subluxations even exist. There's no way there could be nerve impingement. That's not a thing. Blah 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 blah. I came across an ad for a clinic on Facebook about a month and a half ago, and it was called something like NeuroSpine. It was a pain management center, all about surgically correcting nerve interference.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many people, so many groups that use what we've talked about for years as theirs. Josh, did you have something?
Speaking to what you were saying about like certain message, I just feel like on a personal level, I feel like my mission almost every time I interact with somebody or go to a social environment is to get to know them, obviously, become friends. And I feel like in that process, the chiropractic thing sort of comes up. And I feel like hearing it from a friend or like that one-on-one, that intimate, personal level. And I don't feel like forceful or anything, like I'm shoving it down their throat, but I feel like the message just kind of does come out of me naturally at some point. And I know obviously in school, so it's, it's that they have that big name and it starts conversation, but I feel like if each of us are on a mission and there's more numbers in the, sort of principle philosophy-based group, then all those little conversations are gonna eventually, push the tide.
Yeah.
So I
If they're
couldn't,
more of a,
I couldn't find anybody in my neck of the woods that could adjust, worth a hill of beans. So I actually ended up going to the joint. And I have a young lady that comes and visits me. She works for Liam Schubel. She doesn't have her license in Florida, but she stops by every week to give me an adjustment and I adjust her. And so she's my main chiropractor, but I still kept the joint for my secondary, because I usually like to go in an extra time a week. And it's very interesting, because I've been there a couple of months now, and I know all the doctors that work there, and some give great adjustments, and some are just so-so. I like the fact that they only do adjustments, which is very cool. There's no education whatsoever. And the one thing that they don't have that, like, my office has, and I know Haig's office, first of all, there's no families. It's all single people. It's usually young single people coming in, which is great, but there's no kids, there's no husbands and wives. There's no feeling of like a culture, Like, I wouldn't say like my practice is like Lululemon or like Apple, but it does have a culture, We actually started giving out t-shirts to our patients, and they wear them all the time, and they feel like a part of something, And there was a point I was dating a girl, she moved back to Maryland, I had like 15 minutes where I thought, hey, maybe I'll go there too, and I had patients like, you better not, like, you're a guy forever, I had patients say it to me. So we sort of have that culture in my office and that family thing, and I know what's going on in people's lives, they know what goes on in my life. I had a gig last night. I'm in a rock and roll band, an 80s band, and I probably had about a dozen patients who came out to see, and that was very, very cool. So that's the one thing that the joint doesn't have. I think that they're serving people to get adjusted, which is better than nothing, but people don't have loyalty there. There's no families coming in. There's no education. There's no come see my chiropractor. There's probably not a whole lot of referrals. They get a lot of their patients from like social media, and they got some great ads on social media, it's sort of like Nike, like just do it, like get out of pain. It's all very pain based. So there's a lot of cool things about them, and like I said, they're my secondary thing. The other cool thing about, by the way, for those, I didn't do this for that reason, despite what people say, but I get a lot of referrals from them because I take Medicare and I do some PI, and they can't do that. Or they'll send over patients, they don't do x-rays, they do a very minimal exam. So if somebody is a difficult case, they'll send them over my way. And we have very similar practices, like my patients can come in whenever they want. After the second visit, we only do adjusting. So it's a very kind of similar thing. We charge a lot more than they do. But again, my patients kind of get hooked to the culture of our office, and to the education, and to the orientations, and to the referrals, and everything like that. So I think it serves a good purpose, but it doesn't take the place of offices that are principled, family-based. You get that warm, fuzzy feeling when you come in, like to Haig's office, like, wow, all right, you're my guy, and he's gonna come out to my kid's soccer game because that's the kind of guy he is, and we do that with all of our patients. I mean, I can't tell you how many football games, I got invited to a birthday party, a graduation party. I couldn't go last night because I had a gig, but it's like, wow, Dr. Singer, will you come to my graduation party? Like, you don't see that in the joint. So that's the one thing that
It sounds like you're embedded in the community.
Huh?
You're part of that community. You're embedded in the community, you're part of that community.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The joint is on these high crammed roads, and people come, people go. I've been in there, it's a social hour.
Well, I think
This is where I met Dr. Devlin in the joint.
Actually, I tell my assistants their number one, I don't like to talk to people. I'm very introverted, so I just like to adjust them and let them get out. I tell my CAs, that's your job. Your job is that they have coffee to sit there and talk to the patients and find out what's going on, and they love that. And I'll have my CA say, did you know that this person's graduating, or this person just got married? I'm like, no. I'm like, how could you not know that? You're the chiropractor. I'm like, that's why I'm paying you to talk to, and you tell me.
If you start talking about the principles to some of those folks, do you think they'd respond?
Say again?
If you start talking these principles to some of those folks, what do you think they'd respond?
I do a little tick at the table when I remember. So I do a really brief, something about principle or something about when I remember to do that. And that's the only, and that's part of, I think what we should be doing as chiropractors is giving a little wisdom, a little tick, a little something at the table, 30 seconds, all right, let's get you adjusted, and I could probably do a better job of that, you know.
I was going to say, I think it's the mental projection. You know when you connect, like you were saying, it's an old lady's term, but that person's got a certain vibe. And it's real.
Big time.
And you pass that on when you talk to someone. And that's something you would pick up on right away. You know, we've all been around people who are like, I don't need to be your friend, you got a bad vibe. And it's just that mental projection and that frequency that they're sending off, that's a negative. But, you know, like Dr. Haig, and it's a very positive reaction. And it's from up here.
You see with animals all the time. They're tuned in. Like a dog, if they don't like you, right? They let you know it, right? But like my wife, she'll walk in a room, every dog will come right to her and sit on her lap, you know? Me, they just growl at. Just kidding. But we've tuned a little bit of that out, but you know, we're perceptive to those things as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
In looking for a chiropractor, that would be something you'll know when you go in there, whether they're there or they're just adjusting both.
You know, I think that, you know, the joint's message is what it is. It's come in here, we adjust you, and it's a price point. People are really on the price point. Now, talking about the office that you were in today, I think is much more damaging to the chiropractic message.
There was no
The joint.
message.
That's exactly right. I think that's, at least the joint is delivering on
Exactly.
their message and their price point. And they're not really, pushing what chiropractic is away. They're just, this is who they are and that's it. But when it comes to other chiropractic offices that do almost everything to a patient, they don't know which part of that was chiropractic. Is a biggest part for the identity of chiropractic. Joint is no big deal. But any of those franchise to me is no big deal at all. Because they are at least doing what they say they do.
you
And
know,
that is part of chiropractic in some places, you know, it's just all about, my office is all about pain.
Yeah.
And those people keep coming back to get whatever they get there, but I always believe that whatever they release in someone's body is much better than them never walking into a joint to get released. So that's why I have no problem with the joint.
I think, you know, really, they're guided into that place. They're in the perfect place in that moment. Very often they'll go somewhere, they'll come and say, you know what, I've reached my limit. I needed to find something else after it. That's why I'm here. And, you know, it's the right place and the right time. They've probably done the best at communicating chiropractic to the world in their marketing.
I work in the joint.
By far.
And they communicate.
The
why
one
they're
thing
there
is,
and what they do.
what we're seeing with the young is that they go straight there, and most of them are owned by business people. You know, the
Right.
ones in Orlando are mostly owned by the Planet Fitness guys. They're not chiropractors that educate and mentor and show them the right way. They get, as soon as you have the degree, okay, you're in charge, here you go, do what you're supposed to do. You need mentoring, you know? Law school, your internship is everything, right? Everywhere you go into a professional thing, it's your internship, your mentoring is extremely important. I sought out the oldest guys I could first, you know. Pasquale Sarasoli was nearly 100, he was 92 when I met him, right? Sigafus, you know, he was 1,000,000 years old. I got as close to Sid Williams as I could, you know, and all the old guys before they left. Clarence Jensen, you know, he was at Clearview with PJ Palmer. And, you know, that mentorship is extremely important. I knew that was important. I started chiropractic school when I was 30, and I knew how important that mentorship was. But not everybody realizes that. Or they go in and say, okay, who's gonna pay me the most amount of bank? And you know what, it's not really where it is. I hope you make a lot of money, but I hope you also get educated on the way. So, you know, I think they've really done the best at communicating chiropractic to masses of people. We haven't been able to do it as chiropractors for 100 and whatever numbers of years now, because of the brand.
And that's why the joints is there, because we haven't done our jobs the way that we're supposed to. If
Well,
people
we've
know
all
what
been
chiropractic-
entrepreneurs. We've been singular entrepreneurs. We've communicated our community. We've created community. But outside of that, it hasn't gotten much past, right? I would like to see it in the world. I would like to see every mom in every hospital get adjusted, while she's pregnant. And every person, I've gone into hospice. I used to do it all the time. Go to hospice and just go and adjust everybody, whoever wanted it, right? Did I educate them the best? Did they remember me after that? Probably not. I had one guy, I'm gonna tell you this, a 13-year-old girl, the church, people from her church said, can you just go there? I thought the parents knew I was coming. The father came down, and if you could see this little girl's head, it was like you could grab her atlas at one side. It was so subluxated. But the family, would I have saved her life? Probably not. Would I have made her more comfortable? Yes. But they've already committed, okay, we're waiting for the end with this little girl. It's tough times with us as chiropractors. Not everybody knows what we do. Some people are angry against it. I remember my wife was in Brazil. I went to a restaurant, sat at the bar to eat dinner. Okay, it's before I had kids. And talking to the guy next to me, we're chatting, talking about all kinds of things. And he was like, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a chiropractor. He goes, I don't believe in chiropractic. And stormed out. I'm like, this guy was literally my buddy. I was going to go play golf with the dude, And he was pissed off at me that I was a chiropractor. There's no one educated him properly, and he might have gotten hurt. Who knows, right? How many people die under the hands of every profession? Okay? So, it's not an uphill battle, but, it's a constant work in progress, I would say. That's why we're doing this, right? Go ahead.
No, the way I see it is, I mentioned it before, like the stuff that we're talking about now. If I go to Logan College on Monday, the students are gonna be like, huh? Like they have no idea, like they don't even have philosophy in their classes anymore. So, and I've been thinking a lot about it because I've seen the damage that it's been done, because if you grab people from the street, what is a chiropractor? Oh, the guy that cracks your back to relieve pain.
Yeah.
That's the most common definition. So from my end, I've been really silent, but I haven't been silent. I talked to you about it the other day. Like I've been developing a software, like artificial intelligence software that and I finished it, so I'm so excited. And what I do is I mark the segments that I adjusted, and it's just like that, just like the Haig chart. Because let's say like the pain model, it's like, okay, I adjusted your C5 because you have shoulder pain. That's the pain model. Yeah, but what else is connected to C5? So when I click on the segments, I uploaded Gray's Anatomy and physiology books. So then it grabs those segments, make the nerve connections, and it mentions all the possible organs that they are affected, just like the Haig chart, but in a report. So something that it would take me like a long time to do, it is personalized for every patient, because you don't do the same segments on every single patient. So that way that person gets to go home after the first visit and not only has my word, but also has a piece of paper with pure 100% anatomy, so it's not BS. So that way, because yeah, the nervous system, and only 10%, some people say 18, is related to pain. But what about the rest? And I'm adjusting that area, that segment. So it's something that I'm excited to give it a try, start trying it with my patients and see
Sure.
how it goes. And plus it's kind of cool to have now more technology, like, like the clickable spine, and then get that personalized report. So yeah,
Each one of those
I want to bring chiropractic back because that's logic right there. Like that's facts. So I want to bring it kind of like in the Bible says, like, don't give meat to a baby. So hopefully I can share that with students. So okay, so here are the facts. I adjusted that segment. Where does that segment go? So okay, yeah, it's helping with pain. I agree 100% with you. But what else is going on in there? So I'm excited about it.
That's fantastic. That's really fantastic. Each one of these education tools is getting us towards entropy, getting us towards the 100th monkey. We've been talking about in chiropractic, right? I've been still waiting for this 100th monkey. People just didn't get it. Pasquale Sarasoli, he said in David Shiner's book, he just came out with a new book. I'm excited to read that too. But he said, when the spiritually inclined lose nothing and gain everything, And the closer we get to our spirit, the world gets to the spiritual consciousness, the more they'll realize what chiropractic is all about. And it's a spiritual consciousness. The mechanistic is important, right? Because it makes sense. But when we're really talking about when people are clearer, right? I'm making better decisions in life. You know, you practice for any period of time. Dan, you probably heard it too. You know what? I just quit my job, and I had this one girl. She was a vet tech, right? Loved her job. She said, I've always wanted to be an airline pilot. But all my sisters, she had like 5 sisters. She was the youngest. Oh, they all said, you can't do that, you can't do that. And she said, I can do it. And she quit her job, went to FIT right over here, and became an airline pilot. I haven't seen her since. She's enjoying the life of her dreams. Because just removing that interference, physical, emotional, and I say spiritual is the most important one. That's what D.D. Palmer talked about the most. Okay? You asked about BJ and his spiritual writings, and I forgot to connect with Simon Sensen before we did, but he said he'll do it for next time, for his book, okay? But D.D. Palmer it was all about spirit. It was talking about the spiritual consciousness and connecting the material in a spiritual way. He never actually said we connect the material with the spiritual. But most of the schools, and I've asked at least 5 college presidents about this, why don't we talk about the spiritual side of chiropractic? Because it's complicated. We don't want to talk about those things, right? It's too much. It's so much easier to talk about the physical. And the subluxation is the same thing, okay? It's easier to say it's that. It's so much more, okay? D.D. Palmer very rarely mentions a subluxation, okay? And it's an important thing. He said it's impossible to change a medical fighter into a peaceful chiropractor. I gotta fight that disease, I gotta fight this, I gotta fight that. And we become into fighting just the subluxation, we forgot about everything else. Because it's the only thing that we've been tuned into. But what is that subluxation? We think of it as an easy one. Less light expression. Sub meaning less than, light meaning lux. Lux meaning light, Asian's the expression of it. And I got somebody that was Pasquale actually, he said, remember, the sub also means under the expression of the light, right? Think about that. If subluxation is not by chance, and it's a communication, the body's asking for help, there's a reason for it. And it's a divine gift. When we dig deeper into the spirituality of really what we're doing, it's amazing just reading D.D. Palmer's book. And I'm telling you, it's all through Stevenson's book. Stevenson, most of this stuff has come out of D.D. Palmer's writings. And it's just amazing. Because as you're reading D.D. Palmer, it's like, oh my gosh, that was part of the 33. Oh, that was from Stevenson's. It's amazing. So it's not just getting involved with BJ, which I love. And one of my favorite books is this last book. I love it. You can feel the passion coming out of our masterpiece is what it is. Volume 39. And we reviewed it not long ago. You can listen to it if you don't want to read it. We've got it all recorded. But it's the passion of what he's done. But you don't know chiropractic until you really study D.D. Palmer and where he's come from. From the spiritualism and the passion that he put in of something that BJ said, he came upon it by mistake. But in reality, he spent 9 years studying. He was the most learned man in human physiology, especially spinal anatomy and spinal anomalies, than anyone else in the world. He's even quoting books back to the 1600s because all he could get his hands on. He got his hands on everything. D.D. Palmer knew what he was doing before he gave that first adjustment to Harvey Lillard. I guarantee it. It wasn't by mistake, right? And then you see BJ, I've read almost all of the green books written by BJ, not the other ones, right? I think it's like 32, something like that, of the green books. And you could see the journey BJ went on of really accepting what D.D. was talking about prior and getting back to more of the spiritual work as he went through it. Very mechanistic in the beginning, okay? But we have to understand where we've come from just to know where we're going to go. That's why we're doing this, and I'm so happy you guys came. This is pretty awesome. So this is what chiropractors talk about when we're alone together, right?
Some chiropractors.
Some chiropractors, well, the chiropractors I choose to hang out with, how about that? That's the way to go. And, you know, having students dip in, I wanted to have the live stream, but whatever happened. Dan, you missed it, thank goodness. Josh can fill you in later with Mac. I publicly put the link for Zoom all over Facebook and Instagram and everything else, and we got the result of that. I will never do that again. Anyway, so, you know, I don't know if
We have something to laugh about.
we got something that we'll never forget this one. Does anybody have anything else?
Vincent, talking about the spiritual world, Vincent recently found a book called The Game of Life. And it was written in 1925,
Yeah, the game of life and how to live it.
and how to live it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's not a very long book, it's about a 2 hour, if you listen to it, audible book,
It's really good, yes.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's
It's
I'll
fun,
read it.
it's on Audible too, so I heard it through Audible, it's good.
Okay, cool.
It's very,
Yeah, I
very,
found
very
it on
good.
YouTube, but I also just printed the book out. My buddy sent me a copy, so I'm just going through it, highlighting some stuff,
Yeah.
reading over it. But
And then
it's
exactly what you're talking about, those guys like created a channel with all those old books, and they're
Yeah.
awesome, like
Yeah.
I listened to so many of those.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
My
written by
favorite's been
a
like a
woman.
billion.
Florence
What?
Scovel Shin. I
Okay.
just got that from
Yeah.
my friend 3
What's
days
it?
ago.
What's the,
Did
It's
you
a very
really?
inspiring
I did,
book.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lady who wrote it.
See, we're all
Yeah.
tuned in.
What's
That's
her
the
name?
type of stuff
That's her
Her
synchronicity.
name is Florence Scovel Shin. Shinn.
What's that channel?
Yeah, one of the students.
Hmm?
And it's all, it's.
I'm gonna find it out there right
Maybe send
away.
the video.
It's so
Like,
good.
that's where I'm gonna post the video on the Synapse
Like they
page.
have those old
There's
books
Synapse
before
Philosophy.
1940
There's a
that
page,
they're
so I'll
like
post it on there and
copyright
I'll
free
post
now,
it everywhere.
and they are uploading those.
You
So
gotta
let
do
me,
it.
let me find this.
Right, you know?
None.
Well, there's like the chiropractor's adjuster.
And the
So that's
chiropractor,
one.
that's 1910 and the 1914 book, the
So two.
Chiropractor, correct.
So there's two of them.
Two of them.
That are from him.
That's correct. There are some other like writings and some other pieces around. Simon Sensen's really good about, you know, his stuff, and then Todd Waters, his stuff is fantastic. But there's a book by before New York Chiropractic College became so, you know, mechanistic. The president, I can't remember what his name was, but he wrote a book called Anything Can Cause Anything, and it was all about D.D. Palmer, and it was written by that president. It's a very hard book to find. I've got a copy, and I have a digital copy as well. I'll share with you if you want. But there's not much of D.D. I mean, you're looking at turn of the century, you know, but the last century.
It's called the Masterpiece Society on YouTube. My favorite's been the Kabbalion, yeah.
Okay, I haven't.
Written like Egyptians. Oh man, it's like the stuff that we're talking, written on this
Is that right?
600 BC.
Share with that with me if you
Oh,
don't
it's
mind later.
sick. It's that
Send me
book.
the link if you don't mind.
Yeah, like it's like listening to chiropractic philosophy. It's cool. It's super old book.
I can share also that with you, and you can share it with everyone here.
Okay,
But,
cool.
But it's the game of life, your word is your wand, the secret door to success, and the power of the spoken word, all of those, I have all of them.
I like that. You know, how we start in the morning before we see even people is that we usually read The Deep Breath of Life by Alan Cohen. We read Proverbs as it relates to the day of the month. And we read Dr. Sid's book. He has it's Lasting Purpose, but it's broken into weekly reads. And so we read them, we invite our patients to come, but just to get grounded, you know, getting the kids off to school, running around, getting there and getting where we need to go on time, and then just being at peace and reading spiritual things. We just finished The Richest Man That Ever Lived. You know, it was about King Solomon, and it was all about Proverbs. We've read through A Course in Miracles. We usually add a book, and through all those other ones that we read consistently, and we add another book to it. So just to get grounded into things. And I want to we'll bring it into our morning meetings. And everybody's invited. Chiropractors, you can come, and we invite patients and everyone else, whoever wants to come to those in the morning. Wednesday we do in the morning. We start at 8:15, and then open.
oh, weird.
But anybody can come. But
It's a 2 hour trip for me.
you'll make it in no time. Well, we got a lot of good, this is a philosophy discussion, right? Talking about chiropractic philosophy, which is philosophy of life, you know? Why did these guys teach that? Universal intelligence, well, why is that important to chiropractic? You know, go out and pop backs and snap necks. It's not what we do. I want to give it most refined, best adjustment I can. Joe Curso said, if I give one in a day, I'm doing well. I'm trying to do one. If I get two, that's great. Ever since then, I really think about that. And there's days that I've been in the flow, man. It's just like this. Everything was just like butter. And there's days like that. Oh man, your adjustments go like butter when everything's clear, man. I love it. That, you know, but understanding something bigger than us. Because we get it's to get stuck in the educated intelligence. That's just stuff that's going to go through the ticker tape, the monkey mind. But thinking you are dealing with something so much bigger. And then, you know, lay people, you're not a chiropractor. You're also working with every other being that is that important to the universe in everything that we do. Picking up the phone and dealing with AT&T one day, you want to just pull them through the phone and punch them in the face. That's another person down there too, thinking about their spirit, their innate. This person is connected to God as just as I am. So it's a consciousness that they were instilling early in chiropractic students. This is a textbook of chiropractic. This is from the senior text of it. That's what they were giving their students in 1927. And I'd say to the 50s when B.J. Palmer died in 1956, you know, that's kind of when it started to change. But there were plenty of schools out there. There were dozens of schools teaching all kinds of crazy things. So we brought it together with us here, and this is what it takes, right? So, you know, I don't have anything else for now. If you guys have something, you know, please share. You know, we can walk down to Amici's and play old school like Miami and go down and have a pizza right over here like we did last time you guys were here. Amici's is great. It's right at walking distance if you want to do it. There's Japanese and Mexican too if you want to do that.
Their sushi is wonderful.
That sushi is good. It is good. Do you guys feel complete?
Yeah, that was awesome. Okay.
Awesome. Good job, everyone.
Next week, same time.
Same bat channel.
I'll get my consent.
I can commit to once a month myself. I can commit to this once a month.
I'll commit to every 2 months.
Yeah.
It's a ride.
That's lame.
Well, for us,
How long
we were
does it take
doing
you to
once
get
a
there?
quarter. We can commit to it once a quarter or once a month, right? Once a quarter is easier. I mean, we all have lives.
I get other.
Once a quarter, I'll commit to that myself, right? And if you guys want to do it, and everybody's invited all the time, you know, this isn't a closed door. It's not a secret, you know. Chiropractic philosophy, this is what needs to get out to people.
Saturday of the month?
The third Saturday of the month?
I'm just trying to think if I can commit. I'd like to know what Saturday I'm putting in my calendar.
Well, that's a good idea to do it that
Giving
way.
Haig a lot of pressure.
Yeah, thanks.
I just really like.
I'm trying to hire another
just-
CA right now too.
Let's see, it is the third Saturday of the month.
So if you think, I mean, it doesn't have to be the
That's a
third
smart way to
Saturday.
do it. I mean,
If you
that's the
think
way we're
once
all
a
programmed
quarter,
from
right, 'cause
SNL, you know,
I
I
have
mean, I like
to have
it.
my calendar.
So August 17th is the third
That's my
Saturday.
birthday.
Huh?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. We'll have to have a cake.
I don't mind. I love cake.
All right. August 17th, is that May, June, July, August? August 17th.
I have to go home and look at my,
You don't have one of these?
no, I don't. I'm an old calendar person.
I was like that, but I gotta tell you, I
I
gotta tell you,
look
cause you
at
can
my
share it,
schedule
you can
and-
like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what day it
Get old
is in
school.
August to see Penny.
Well, I got a lot out of this.
Oh,
You know, if anything, I'm selfish because I want to grow in chiropractic and myself personally, and physically, and everything else. So I appreciate everybody for showing up big time. I leave these on the seats in my practice for people to read. That's why they're laminated. I had 2 sets, and the other one disappeared. I have no. I think one of the pages
Somebody
took
liked
them.
it so much.
It's
Yeah,
in his
being a
office.
chiropractor.
Mario's got him, he took him.
Oh, Mario's got it. There you go. Devin, are they in your backpack? Oh. All right.
I think eating eating's good.
Eating's
We have
good.
to just have a consensus where we're going.
All right,
What'd you say, there's Mexican, there's Italian,
Mexican, Italian, and Japanese.
What does room for enough people to come in onto the,
Japanese might have most room.
I'm
You
just
wanna just
saying.
Google Amichis and see how call them? How many people are going?
You wanna go?
How many we have, like 16,
I'm hungry.
17?
I'm hungry, you know.
I thought you were
Yeah,
bringing
one,
pizza in,
two,
so that's
three,
why I brought a salad. in.
Well, I was gonna bring the pizza in and I didn't order in time, we might as well
there's
just
like
go.